And welcome into Press Box Live. We got a very special show ahead of us tonight. With me, as always, on Monday nights is Ross Grimsley, the former left-handed pitcher of the Baltimore Orioles, the Cincinnati Reds, the Montreal Expos, and I think a brief time in Cleveland. And Ross, our special guest tonight, is the one, the only legendary Hall of Famer, Johnny Bench.
Yes,
And
sir. He sure is.
We'll welcome Johnny in just a moment, but I have a little business to conduct. Press Box Live is brought to you each Monday and Wednesday evening by C3 American Exteriors. Go to their website at c3america.com to get a brand new roof for just the cost of your deductible. And again, I say it each and every Monday and Wednesday nights. If you own a home, there's nothing more expensive than fixing or repairing your roof. And these are the folks you want to have do it. C3 American Exteriors. And with that, we welcome in legendary Hall of Famer Johnny Bench. Johnny, how are you tonight?
Fantastic. I just got a new roof last year. Boy, they're expensive. Gee,
We could have helped you out.
We could have helped you out.
Now you tell me. Why don't you
Yeah.
start this last year when it was really something?
Now you come and tell me.
Yeah.
Hey, Johnny, got so much to talk to you about, but last week, after as if 2020 wasn't enough, we had 11-time All-Star catcher Bill Freehand pass away. I know there wasn't interleague play back then. How well did you know Bill, and what kind of player did you see Bill as?
Well, I mean, I thought he was one of the great catchers ever, the great receivers. You know, he had that round glove, and he was going to catch with that round glove forever. And I can still remember every spring training we go over to Lakeland, and when we play the Tigers, and there he was. I mean, and I see even after he retired, he'd be over catching all those young pitchers, and still had that round glove, and he'd be doing that, and it was like a symphony. I mean, his poetry, the way he did it, the way he caught and everything else, and you know, he didn't have tremendous numbers. You look at the type of catcher he was. I actually looked up to see what kind of stats he had, because to me he was, you know, such a great all-star catcher to begin with, but numbers didn't quite qualify to, you know, probably Hall of Fame selection. But, you know, what a wonderful man, just a gentleman, the class of baseball. I mean, you watch him and he personified what a Major League Baseball player was. And, you know, it's been a tough year, man. We've been losing all of them. And, you know, he had dementia. I've worried about that myself because of all the concussions I've had. I probably had 7 to 10 concussions during my time. And so you worry about, you know, here Gary Carter goes and Darren Darlton goes and they got Blasto. And so I've been doing testing and stuff and trying to create things that hopefully will benefit me and also other athletes. In fact, would be our best job we could come up with. But yeah, it was really hard. I mean, the news is tough, but when you admire somebody the way I did with Bill, and of course Al was one of my all-time favorites there as well. So it was tough. The respect we had for him was truly wonderful.
I don't want to turn this whole show into talking about people that have passed, but 2020, you lost a former teammate in Joe Morgan. You've lost somebody that you competed against and then were a teammate in Tom Seaver. Could you talk a little bit about the two of them? And I know you're also very fond of Al Kaline.
Well, we could fill up the show. I mean, it was the type of guy. I thought Joe was the best player ever. And I mean, all Gold Glove second baseman, back-to-back MVPs during our World Series years. If you needed a hit, you got a hit. If you needed to walk, you got to walk. If you needed a stolen base, you got a stolen base. If you needed a home run, he could hit it out of the ballpark. And he was brilliant. He was just so smart. And I don't think I've ever had anybody as close as Joe and I. We talked constantly throughout after we retired and all the stuff, and just respect for him. In fact, that weekend he passed away, his agent called and said, Joe's not going to make it, and probably not tonight, but he wants you to write the public release. And so it gave me a couple of days to, you know, because Joe had been through so much, but you'll never see a finer player, and then an unbelievable Hall of Fame broadcaster as well to me. Tom Seaver was a man's man. The respect that he had everywhere he played, the laughter, the times we had together in Japan and on the field and playing bridge together and working the New York Times puzzles together. I mean, I respected him so much. And a story I like to tell is that, you know, he bought a vineyard out in Napa,
Yeah.
and it was on Diamond Mountain. Of course, it had to be on Diamond Mountain for Tom. And Tom, you know, and he had all this wine. He would tell me how great it was rated, 97, 98, and it really was. And, you know, then he had Tom GTS, and then he had Nancy's Fancy. So I said, well, Tom, I'd like to buy a case. What is my cost? No. I said, what do you mean? No. I'm paying off this farm. I still have to pay it off. I said, what if I buy 2 cases? He said, no. And I said, look, you would have been nothing. If I hadn't put down the signs for you, you would have never made it to the Hall of Fame. And we laughed. And, you know, I think, as Ross will tell you, if you played against him, you admired him, you respected the way he was. He said, okay, here it is, try to hit it. And
Right.
he knew he was probably a little better than you, which he was. And it was just, it was sad. I mean, it's sad to lose your friends, and
Yeah.
we don't get out of here. None of us get out of here
Nope.
with it, but it was a tough year, and Al was special. But you can go down the list, you know, Bob and Blue and Tommy and Phil, and it's just it's tough times. It really is. So
Yeah.
you have to have the living. Fortunately, I have 11 and 15-year-old, well, soon to be 12 and 15-year-old boys, and they're the love of my life. And I just absolutely, it keeps me young. I think it keeps me young anyway.
Ross, go ahead.
Are they playing baseball?
No, Justin, when he was 9, hit 14 home runs. I mean, they were bombs. I mean, he hit it, and then he got hit by a pitch, then he got hit by a ground ball, and then a thrown pitch hit him in the eye, and he got gun shy.
I have
And
enough. Yeah, I had enough.
You've seen it.
Bobby played football, didn't he?
Bobby joined the football team.
Yeah.
And
Right.
everything else. And again, he got hit first
Yeah.
time and he got hit and got gun shy, and it's excruciating to watch. I mean, you know, to see the fear and
you remember Patrick,
Sure.
my son, when he went on to play hockey, played minor league hockey up in,
I love that.
up in Canada. Oh, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But Bird couldn't even watch it anymore after a while. She said, I can't watch this anymore. But he was, he turned out. But anyway.
The greatest sport. That is the greatest.
I love it.
Bobby
It's
played
great.
hockey, and for them to get out there, the dexterity, all the stuff they had is working as a team, the drills and everything else. I was mesmerized by how great that was.
It's unbelievable. But anyway, obviously, we want to talk about you. And one of the, well, first of all, somebody wants to say hi to you.
Oh, hello, darling. How are you? Look at you. Look at you all.
I'm so glad to see you, sweetheart. What
Aw.
stories could we tell, huh?
If
I know
Ross wasn't
nothing.
here,
I know nothing. I know nothing. You look
I know-
fantastic.
I know nothing.
I know.
I know
Oh my
nothing.
That will keep us out. That will keep us out of jail.
I said, when I retired, I was working for the bank, and I went in, and the president of the bank said, John, I think you should run for Congress. I said, you hear the skeletons in that closet? They're knocking down the next door, the next room. I said, yeah, you can forget about that.
You might have got it. You might have got it tens and thousands of votes,
Oh.
but you would have been in jail.
No,
Yeah.
no, I wouldn't.
Oh my God.
Okay, you've had enough. You
Okay,
gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta
Everybody
go.
there, I love you.
Oh, sure. Enjoy. One thing I've enjoyed about the show so far. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
And wrap her up.
really. I knew that would help. Anyway, John, I always like to go back when anybody we have on, about when you were little and first getting started in this. I know you wanted to be a major league player at a very young age. Is that not true?
3.5. Yeah.
Three and a half. So and then, I mean, you got up in front of your class and told your class you wanted to be a major league player. They laughed at you. You did it again, I think, in the 8th grade. They laughed
Yep.
at you. The funniest thing that I told these guys, I said, Johnny Bennett's a witty guy. He'd made some funny comments, but the best, he was 5'2", and he was scouted by Barnum and Bailey.
Yeah. I was 5'2".
I thought that
I had
was
the same size hands,
Yeah.
same size feet, same size head with hair. But you know,
Right.
the Lord gave everybody the same number of hormones. If they want to use them to grow hair, that's fine. But and they didn't laugh so much after I grew 9 inches the next 3 years. And it was
really
like-
exactly.
and it was amazing. My dad had been wanted to be a catcher in the major league,
Right.
but the war came along and he never got to play.
Yeah.
So
Well, tell us a little bit about, I know your dad was a big influence. I got a chance to meet him, I think in 71 or 2. and a very nice guy. I really enjoyed talking to him. But tell us how he influenced you in the early years before you got to professional ball.
He never pushed. We played baseball in the backyard with my two older brothers, and then we started playing tin can. And my dad loved baseball so much, and we would sit on we'd go down to Helm's Grocery and we'd get a half-gallon Neapolitan ice cream, and we'd come back and we'd fill up our bowls and we'd sit in front of the TV and watch it. And just like all these other people, that say, hell, I could hit that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Hell, he's swinging, miss that pitch. I could hit that guy. And I believed he could, but it was just like, that's just the way he was. And I saw him play a little sandlot baseball, and he was good. Well, we go to St. Louis, and I invite them up from Oklahoma City. They were living there at the time. I said, you got to come up. I'll get you tickets. I'll get you a hotel room. We get that night. We faced Bob Gibson the first game.
Wow.
Yeah. So I strike out the first time. I strike out the second time. I strike out the third time. And I'm trying so hard because I want to impress my dad and everything. And I'm walking back to the dugout, and I pass the on-deck circle, and I start to smile. And I get to the dugout, and you got to step down in St. Louis in the dugout. And Dave Bristol's leaning on that rail and looked up at me, because Dave only thought about baseball 24/7. He was like Sergeant Carter on Gomer Pyle U.S. You just had to think about nothing but baseball.
Right.
And he said, "What in the hell is so funny?" I said, "I was just thinking, I don't think Dad can hit this guy." And they were a little bit, it was, it's pretty special. My dad was, throw it by your ear, throw it long distance. And he started the team. We rode around the back of the pickup truck, our jeans and T-shirts, and we would have to drive around town because the town was only 660 people. And we would drive around town trying to find a night kid, anybody that could just walk and talk. I mean, just could stand on the field and play. And that's the way we started. So it just became a love of mine. It was just totally a love of mine. And
what did your dad, anything special that he did that you can contribute to what you have done in baseball? Did he do anything? Because I read something that you were throwing 200 feet from the catcher squat. Is that accurate?
on a line, yeah, he wanted me.
Yeah, well, I know on the line because I had to get out of the way several times when you threw second base.
Well, you were my target, man.
Yeah,
you were my target. I tell every catcher, throw at the pitcher's head, and the drop will get you at second base. But he was, see the ball out of the pitcher's hand, all that stuff that was, just the support. We played that game. We started the team that first year, and he said, and we were just started. We'd lost, and my dad said, "That's all right. We'll get them tomorrow. Let's go get a cheeseburger." And we go get a cheeseburger, and we kept practicing, and I kept playing against my older brothers, and we kept playing home run derby. And at the end of the year, we played a team that was undefeated, and we beat them. And they were over there crying. And today it's the parents that are over there crying.
Yeah, right.
And they were over there crying. I looked at my dad, and I said, "Dad, what's wrong with them?" He said, "They haven't learned to lose yet, son. Let's go get a cheeseburger."
Yeah.
Hey, Johnny, Jim Palmer often tells the story, or actually when you ask him, he never gave up a grand slam home run in the major leagues. The only grand slam home run he gave up in his professional career of 23 or 24 years was to you at AAA. Do you remember that home run as well as Jim does?
Sure. Yeah, not as much as Jim does, but of course I did.
Yeah.
Jim,
The
Jim
last
was like,
time, the last time he told
tried
us,
to say, he tried to throw it, he threw me sub 3-0 or whatever, and I guess whoever was managing went out and said, "Just throw it down to the middle of the kid." That's the way Jim's story is.
yeah,
It wasn't about me getting it. He just had to get it over the plate, and I hit a grand slam.
but he does tell the story that the game was not played at the regular stadium. Do
Right.
you
We were in
remember
Niagara
that?
Falls. We went to
Niagara
Niagara Falls. They had the riots back in Buffalo at War Memorial Stadium in that area. So we had to go across in the Niagara Falls, and the field had a one of those, I don't know if you guys know what a snow fence is, or a little picket fence out in the outfield. And the lines it was a football field, and they still had the lines going across the infield. There were some real bad hops in that baby. But we had to drive over there and do it. And I'm sure there was a wind blown. It was a pop-up. Wind blew it out. I'm sure for Jim, it was just,
It was gale force winds.
a gale.
Yeah,
And you-
and it was
and-
20 degrees.
You know
Yeah.
Jim pretty well. Johnny, everybody associates you with Sparky Anderson as your manager. You mentioned Dave Bristol. What kind of guy was he for you to arrive in the major leagues? Was he the right guy to handle Johnny Bench early on?
Dave or Sparky?
Dave Bristol.
Dave was into baseball more than any human being can be into baseball. You know, it was like, you're going to do this. Well, let me just say this. I caught 54 days in a row without a day off. Without a day off. I caught 100. I didn't start the first 4 games. And and I caught 154 out of the 158. And so I was out there and I was 20 years old and I could barely get off the plane. My back was so bad, but you know, I was out there every day. I needed, supposedly I know this is the story, but I needed 2 at bats or something to disqualify myself as a rookie in '67. And so he started me in the game. And one of the writers, I guess later on, told me, I said, Sparky only needs 2 at bats to disqualify. He won't be a rookie next year. And supposedly Dave said, I ain't worried about awards. And so all this time and everything else, I saw Dave when he was inducted into the Reds Hall of Fame. And I said, were you going to take me out of that game? Oh, yeah, I was. Well, in the 3rd inning, I swung out to pick off a guy at first, and Glenn Becker just tipped the baseball, hit the top of my thumb, and burst open all the way across here. And that was the only reason I was a rookie the next year.
And won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I got lucky. You know, I beat out Jerry Kuzman, and of course, Kuzi had an unbelievable year. So I think it was by 1 vote, or 15.5 or 14.5 or some kind of number like that.
Go ahead, Ross.
Johnny, when you got the big leagues, you're 19 years old. I think what was 1967 or 60? When was it? 67? I think. When was it? 60? Whatever.
67, yeah.
When I know you didn't have the first time you had 80 something at bats. You hit 100, $140, something like that. The next year you had the better year. What were your thoughts at you first got to the big leagues? What did you were you discouraged any that you hit 143, or did you? I guess what I'm asking, did you know that you belonged there when you got there?
Yeah, I went in first spring training when I went into spring training, and I got a hit the first time up in spring training, and I thought, these guys don't throw any harder than they do in the minor leagues, and I can match them up and everything else. And I was a cocky kid, and I had great success in the minor leagues, and so when I got there, you know, I was batting 7th or 8th, which bothered me a lot because I wound up asking Dave if I could bat 4th so I could drive in some runs, because I wanted to be in that situation,
right,
where I could do it, and it just was something I did. You know, but you know, it's a whole. There's 4 ways to have a good game as a catcher. You call a great game, which is the number 1 priority.
Right.
I don't care what you do, you got to get that pitcher through that game. And then the second was throw out runners, block home plate, and you get base hits. So a lot of that was predicated on what I was trying to do and achieve with all these pitchers, because they were all new to me. I mean, that was the thing. Every spring training, I always tried to get down and see every pitcher, see his stuff, how I could do it psychologically and everything else. But
you actually caught him on the side too, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, I know.
It was about, I think somebody calculated around 450,000 squats.
Yeah. Unbelievable. And you got 2 new hips for that.
Well, that happened in the car wreck. I was in Buffalo, and I got called up to Buffalo, and I broke my thumb on the 3rd batter, foul tipped one and broke my thumb. And then I went back to Oklahoma to see the family, be with my parents. And I went up to Wichita to watch a game my friend was playing in. I played American Legion ball with, and I drove back, and I pulled out to pass this truck, and here's the drunk driver on the wrong side of the 4-lane.
Right.
And of course, it's a 98 Oldsmobile. It's nothing small. So I hit the brakes, hit me right in the door. And I didn't reach consciousness until I got into the ambulance, and I got to the hospital, and the doctor came in and said, son, you've got the biggest bones I've ever seen in my life. He said, nobody else would walk out of here, but you'll pay the price one day.
Right.
And so I've had both hips replaced. The knees are still intact.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's talk about 1972. Now that was, I'm still in a dream over that. But anyway, during the season, you had a physical. They found a spot on your lung. You had surgery, which, I mean, none of us knew about it, or a lot of us didn't know anything about it until after the season. when did they find that out?
In August, we had
In
our
August. Did
Yeah,
that affect you any after that? I mean, you had a really good year that year.
Well, there wasn't anything to do with that year. I mean, I knew I was going to, they tried to, they did a bronchoscopy. They tested for histoplasmosis, tuberculosis. They couldn't get into the inner lobe of the right lung to find out what it was. I had been out to Bakersfield and played in a golf tournament and got San Joaquin Valley fever. And so they said, we're going to have to go in. Now, in those days, they used to cut from the center of your chest all the way around your back up to your neck. And there was a doctor there named Lou Gonzalez that was at the University of Cincinnati, and he wanted to try the staple surgery. So I was the first staple surgery of its kind. So I'm only cut from here to just to my lats back here. And I never was the same player. I mean, they cut bone, they cut nerves. And so
Right.
I'd say greatness is greatness. This is
Yeah.
the good players hit it here, the great players hit it out here. And it just never quite got back to where that was and everything else. So the career was good, but I sort of wish that I think it would have been a lot better.
Johnny, what do you remember most when you think back to the 70 World Series? Is it Brooks Robinson?
Well, no, I remember that we won 70 of our first 100 games, and then everybody broke arms. Everybody got an arm broke. I mean, Tony Cloninger, I think, started the series. I mean, that was our fifth starter. Clay Carroll, I think, started the game. I mean, we were playing in Baltimore, had 20 game winners. And we were 32-30 our last 62 games. So we weren't coming in a deal, but of course I remember Brooks, but I remember Dave McNally hitting a home run. I remember there's so many things, and it was so disappointing in so many ways that we never really had the chance to be what we were, because I mean, we were a machine. That's how the name started out, basically, is what it was. And Lee May, Tony and I think that together we hit like 120 some home runs or something. I mean, it was just an amazing thing.
That year was Jim Merritt the best starting pitcher you had until he was injured later in the year?
Wayne Simpson was maybe the best pitcher I ever saw.
Yeah.
He was 14-2
miles an hour. I mean, it was impossible. He threw 95 miles an hour. I think, however I threw the ball back to him, he just caught it the way it was and didn't even look, just left it in his glove and grabbed it. And then this ball would and it's 95 and he had a curveball that would stop on a dime. And I mean, he was 12-1 at the All-Star break. I mean, there was nothing. Nobody could touch him. The only game he lost was 1-0. I mean, it was just an amazing kid. Merritt, Jimmy was science and footwork. He lived at OC Springs for an occasional cocktail. My boy Badger, the Badger loves it. It was like the greatest. And then, but we just had too many arms that got hurt, and we just never really were able to compete at that level because, and of course, I kept hitting them to Brooks, so it's my fault. That was, you picked somebody up. Then the next year in the All-Star game, my first time up, I think I hit one down to him, and he caught it again. I said, what is going on? Don't you ever give me a break? And he's one of the finest people I've ever known, the Brooksy.
No question about it. I was looking through the stats today. The relief pitchers in your era, Johnny, back then in 1970, you had Wayne Granger and Clay Carroll would throw like 140, 130 innings as relief pitchers.
Well, we also had, Pedro Borbon at the end. And of course, then we came along with some other great relievers during that time with Raleigh Swicken and Will McEnany. But yeah, Clay came over and, here's what it can happen to a player. Clay Carroll was a run-of-the-mill pitcher. We called him Sonny Sunoco when he was in Atlanta. If he came in and there was a rally going on, he just poured gasoline on the fire. He got lit up. And we told Carroll how great he was, Clay. We told him how great he was. We told him, believe it, you can do it, Hulk. You can do it, Hulk. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. Yeah. And,
that's him.
And he broke more bats that year than any 10 pitchers we had on our team. And he, and Sparky was not afraid, to make a change and do whatever. And we were, I had made a lot of the pitching changes. Sparky relied on me a lot. I'd come in the dugout and I said, get somebody up or something like that. And Sparky's rule was that he was never going to let a pitcher lose a game if he had pitched well. If he had the lead, he would go out and grab somebody before that winning run came to the plate. I mean, he wanted the pitchers to win. I know a lot of guys wanted to pitch longer, but it worked out pretty good.
Johnny, we've asked you all sorts of serious baseball questions.
So far, win.
The
Win.
blue, it's so
Yeah,
far,
win.
the blue emu commercial. I never knew you were as funny as you are. I've since found out more. I've watched more video. That performance in that the timing of when you go, I don't do that anymore, and then lift up the 7 cheeseburgers, it's priceless. Did you write that?
No, I didn't. And it's actually, when I asked about the commercial, they said it didn't come across well. And now they bring it back, and everybody in America is trying to hold 7 something or whatever they're doing. And it's been a lot of fun. It's almost like the water bucket challenge that we had a lot of fun with. But yeah, I mean, it's good to be known for something. Big hands is what I was basically known for. But yeah, and you don't stink. And I'll guarantee it's unbelievable if I get my cue in here, because my people across the country come up to me at the airport and said, gosh, I can't even tell you how good that is. I give it to so many people. It is fantastic.
I think it's a fantastic commercial.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ross, you got a couple more for
I
Johnny?
got
We
a
could
bunch
go on.
more, but I know we got time. But Johnny, tell us a little bit about the teams in the 70s, how everybody, I know I was there from 71 to 73. And I know it was, you guys, as a rookie, you treated me great. I'm so indebted to you. I had to confess one thing. I got taken out of a game. I was really pissed off in 72. I walked in the clubhouse and I grabbed a bat and I threw it. And it hit the corner of a cement block and broke in two. It happened to be your bat. And I'm really sorry. It took 50 or 40 years to tell you that. But
well, some other pitcher was going to do it sooner or later.
I did it. I did it with a cement block.
Well, the thing I was most proud of was the fact that you went over the other league and had unbelievable success. I mean, that was the thing that you were a competitor from the very beginning. I mean, you loved it and everything else. You went through a period, and since we're being honest here.
Oh yeah.
She got into a position finally where we would score a couple of runs and you'd go back out the next inning and you would get in trouble. And I think with Sparky, I said, Sparky, you ever notice that Ross is coming? And I don't know if he ever had the talk with you, but it was something that you had such competitiveness on the mound and stuff to go along with it. But then the changeup became your go-to. Unbelievable. It changed your whole career. But right. I mean, not too many guys win 20 games. I mean, that is amazing.
Weaver made his career, right?
Yeah.
Hey. Weaver was a hoot. But anyway, what I was getting to, tell us a little bit about those teams, the years that you guys won the World Series and just the attitude. And I know just with all the egos on that team, everybody seemed to get along well. I never saw a problem when I was there. I know Doggy was great. Morgan was special. Rose was Rose. It was really a unique thing for me, being a kid that collected ball cards a few years before I even got the training in 1970. I was 20 years old and really hadn't grown up, and I just grew up, I think, a couple years ago, a little bit. But anyway, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Ross, it's true that we were respected and really liked each other. Tony, Joe, myself, and Pete, and we were given, with Sparky called us in the spring training, and whoever made the club, and he said, all right, you 25 have made the club, and I just have to say there's 2 sets of rules. Pete, Joe, Tony, Johnny, you don't have rules.
Right.
All right. I don't have to sneak to the kitchen after curfew. I wasn't out that much, and I thought that's brilliant. And then he said, I don't have to worry about those guys. But we respected the game, and everybody wants to have leadership in the clubhouse. You hear about that. He's good for the clubhouse. No, you're on time.
Yeah.
The bus is there. You're on time for the plane. You get out on the field. You do your job. You do it in a professional manner. I mean, our club, other teams, as you might have seen, would come out and watch us take batting practice or watch us take infield because we had so much pride. Tony was kind of the glue. Joe came over, and he had been a grumpy old soul in Houston because he'd been treated the way he had.
Right.
And, he'd get all, and Tony would
that
say,
bottom lip would come out.
You're going to step on that lip, man.
Yeah.
Tony would tell him, you're going to step on that lip, Joe. You're going to step on that lip. And it started at 3 or 4 days. Then it was 1 day and then it was no days. But he was out there and we found out that we could rip anybody, but our kids, our young guys that came up were important people.
Right.
I mean, Sparky would call us in, the four of us, or we'd call us in individual and they'd say, what about trading for so-and-so? We'd say, no. What about so-and-so? Yes. Because it had to be, how would they fit into our ball club and what kind of people they were and the talent, because we respect the talent. Now they could ask us, what do you think analytically, what we think about this guy? I said, what? Who? Still trying to figure out war. What is it good? Oh, absolutely nothing. Yeah, say it again. I mean, like, what is wins after above or something replacement or whatever?
Under or whoever,
yeah. Just give me the bat. Let me drive in the run, get the hell out of the way.
Yeah, really.
Hey, Johnny,
We told Sparky, you know, you just keep your feet out of the house, not trip anybody. We'll make you a star.
Yeah.
And you did.
Absolutely.
He was, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Hey, Johnny, it just hit me. 1975, the home run that Carlton Fisk hit in the World Series in Game 6. You must have been behind the plate, right?
Boy, you are sharp. You no wonder you have this job. How do you figure all those things out? Yeah, the Red Sox still believe they won that World Series 3-4.
I know.
Yeah, we had Pat Darcy had pitched the 11th inning.
Okay.
And done really well. And he went out in the 12th to warm up, and it was like it wasn't getting there. And we didn't have anybody left. Clay Kirby had a bad elbow and couldn't pitch at all. And I looked over at Sparky in the dugout and I said, no chance. We weren't getting out of the inning. But it just couldn't happen. He just, it wasn't there. He'd pitched his 11th inning and he didn't have anything left. And so it set up one of the great World Series and for us to come back in the 7th game and win.
Yep, you did win it 4-3. Couple quick things, and then I want to ask you about jb5f.org, okay? But I did want to ask you, you mentioned Wayne Simpson was the best pitcher you ever caught. Do you really mean that, or do you think Seaver, Soto, Gullett, were they in it, Maloney? Who was the best?
Well,
pitcher?
now you got them all in, they're one group. And
yeah.
But Wayne Simpson during that time, 95-mile-an-hour curveball, it stopped on a dime, and it was unhittable. Now, obviously, when you mention Tom Seaver, now you're getting into a whole new different, way of life and everything else, and the way he pitched and everything else. But Gullett, gosh, I mean, I don't think I've ever played with a better athlete, an all-around athlete. He could run, he could hit, he could pitch. And of course, he had that quick move to home plate. I would doubt, it'd be interesting to go back and see if anybody ever had a stolen base off of us. I mean, he was just that kind. Now, Gary Nolan, I remember one time they were on a caravan and some guy said, Gary Nolan's pitching, Johnny's catching, Lou Brock's on first, and Gary Nolan's pitching, and he starts to seal. What do you tell Johnny? He said, throw it to short and head him off. There were just, some people weren't quick to the plate, but we were blessed with the great pitchers and everything else. Jim Maloney may have been the best right-hander in the game. I mean, he had a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. He said he decided one time, because this was during Gaylord Perry and Phil Reagan, he said, I think I'm going to load a couple up. He said, maybe we should have a sign. I said, you throw it, I'll catch it.
Yeah.
Well, 2 strikes, 2 outs. He threw one, hit me right on the foot. I never even touched it. Second inning, 2 outs, 2 strikes. He throws it again, hits me on top of the shin guard, bounces all the way back to him. And I called timeout and I walked out and I said, we're going to have a sign. And from then on, I never took my eyes off of Maloney. And then one day in Pittsburgh, they called me from the dugout. I looked over and I said, oh no, did he load it? And here comes this pitch. And it started right at my head and hit me in the cup, broken 7 places. That was the last time Jim ever threw a
loaded
or
That's great. Hey, Space Steelers, you had an amazing arm. Was Brock the toughest to get, or was he a piece of cake for you?
There were no cakes. I mean, I thought Davey Lopes was overall maybe had everything about it and was really, really good. I mean, he had great jump. He had great things. Lou, I threw out 3 times in one game. And Lou reminded me of that. And in fact, I'll tell you a story about Lou, but Lou reminded, he said, you know what I said the fourth time? And I said, knowing you, Lou, you said, if I get on, I'm going again. He said, that's exactly what I said. But Lou had stolen 32 bases in a row when we came into St. Louis. And Jack Fisher, we called him Fat Jack Fisher. He had a little belly on him, and this glove would sit right on top of the belly. And he didn't look like he got rid of the ball very quick. So Lou takes off. I throw it down to second. Lou is not to the cutout. He's not even to the sliding area. And he just stopped and turned around and looked at me. And so I'm sitting in my locker after the game, and we had a $50 fine. Bristol had a $50 fine. You fraternize, it's $50. You talk to another player, it's $50. Doesn't matter. Well, I'm putting my sanitaries and my wet stuff in the grocery cart, which they pull up in front of me. This one pulled up in front of me. And I look up, and here's Lou in his uniform in our locker room. And he looked at me and said, next time, kid, make it look close.
That is
So
classic.
The
That is
challenges
classic.
were always there.
Hey, I saw you on an interview. I was looking at some old interviews, and you've got this fund, a college fund. Is it still in play? JB5F.org?
The Johnny Bench Scholarship Fund. Yeah, we have about 84 kids on scholarship. We gave away a little over $150,000 this year. So we've done over 600-700 students. And in '84, we started that. I didn't get to go to college, and I always wanted to. And I thought I'd start a college fund. And since that time, and we've continued that on, and the kids have benefited from it. And we do one down here for an at-risk school that we have a little golf tournament down here to raise $50,000 or $60,000 for the school. And then we have Hope for the Warriors, which I just came from. We raised probably $1 million. I do the Bobby Nichols tournament over in Fort Myers for abused women and children. We raised a little over $1.3 million the last year. And then we have I was part of the Children's Charity Classic, which is giving away about $15 million.
Is that JB5F.org? Is that a website people can go to look at?
They can go to the Greater Cincinnati Scholarship Foundation because they manage the Johnny Bench Scholarship Fund.
Okay.
And they do it. Thank you. And we're proud of that. We're proud of some of the kids, all the kids actually that have done it and gotten degrees. And they're for local kids in Cincinnati who go to Cincinnati colleges, and for my hometown of Binger, Oklahoma, that kids that want to go to college.
That is really a fantastic
Thank you.
initiative that you started. Johnny,
Proud.
really appreciate the time. Ross, you got one more for Johnny?
I
before we let him go?
got two more. I got two
Okay.
more.
Come
I
on,
got
bring
one-
it on.
One of the things I want to know, I mean, it seems like in this day and age, the former player's opinion, knowledge is not valued the same as it was years
You're being
ago.
nice, aren't you? Now you're being nice and
No,
political.
I'm being
right?
very nice. I'm trying
Okay.
to be nice.
I know.
But no one talks about it. I can because I ain't getting fired. But anyway, when you go out and do people or players or organizations, they ever asked you about your opinion about catching? Because the catching is awful.
No,
in
it's
this
not.
day and age.
No, really, it
God,
isn't.
it is.
Ross, it really is. You've got some of the best athletes you've ever seen.
Oh no, the athletes are great.
And catching. No, here's the thing. You have to remember that in the history of baseball, I think there's 14, maybe 15 now catchers that are in the Hall of Fame. That's one every decade. So unless you're batting fourth in the lineup, you're driving in runs, or you're winning the most valuable player, or whatever, you're not gonna get the notice. And now catchers can't catch a day game after a night game. They can't go the thing. They don't have any longevity. I mean,
Right.
You got Salvador Perez in Kansas City. He's doing it now. You've got some guys that can still do it. But until you put up the numbers, you're never going to give them the credit for being the all-around catcher. But these guys, we've got two of them really good. We got a young Stevenson that's really good. The Barnhart Molina's has such a longevity, and he's been unbelievable.
Yes.
But we accept now, we'll put up with almost any catcher if you can hit 35,
Yeah.
40. Yeah. Or strike out 200 times. That's acceptable.
Right.
That,
So what the people obviously don't ask you
No.
about,
No, they know.
and I've talked to several Hall of Famers that were with an organization, and now they've been kind of cast to the side, and I'm going, are you kidding me? That's unbelievable.
well, you know what they're doing. You get the same thing. What do you know about pitching? I mean,
No,
what
I
do I
know.
know about catching? They've
Really?
got guys that show all this stuff, and they go to, Here's the thing. I wrote a book. It's called Catch Every Ball, How to Handle Life's Pitches.
Right.
But people come up to me and say, my kid wants to be a catcher. What do I tell him? I said, catch every ball. And it sounds, they can do it, but you learn your own style. You catch
Sure.
everything. Nothing gets by you. They'll say, what a great catcher. Wow. He catches everything.
Wow.
Well, and then of course, these guys throw like monsters. They're all good. They are really to the level, but until you, excuse me, until you can hit 30 home runs or drive in 100 runs every year, nobody's really going to give you, wow, this guy's a really great catcher.
Yeah.
I think
I was kind of
Ross
looking at
was-
the defensive end of it myself.
I think Ross was talking about the defensive end of it. And
Yeah.
I asked our manager, Brandon Hyde, in a press conference, are you happy with the way your catchers catch the ball? And he said, boy, I could talk an hour about that. But he basically said there's so many wild pitches because of how catchers set up now to be able to frame the pitch.
No, it's
Which
the
I-
damn pitcher. It's the pitcher. It has nothing to do.
Jiminy Christmas. Naturally.
Johnny,
Johnny, I got one more question.
Now
to
they're
ask.
All right,
throwing,
go.
wait a minute. Now they're throwing all these different with different seams and everything else. They're all throwing 97 miles an hour. They don't know where in the hell it's going. You're sitting up outside. All of a sudden it's
Yeah.
inside. Yeah, there's some boxers back there. Definitely there's some boxers. But if you go back to our era, I'll guarantee you there's about 10 guys you could call out right now that weren't very good catchers.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. My last question, Johnny,
All right.
over your career, now I know, what are you most proud of over your baseball career? And I know your kids, that's unbelievable. That, everybody's proud of their children, but your baseball career, what are you most proud of?
Well, excuse me, individually, you can be the most valuable player, and what do? You call, hey, Ross, it's Johnny. I just named MVP. You want to go out and have it? No, I'm busy. I'm staying in. I'm taking the wife to dinner and everything else. But when we won the World Series and I walked into that locker room and 25 players were world champions, didn't matter what level, didn't matter if you what award, how many home runs you hit, everybody in there, the coaches, the trainers, the equipment men, the sponsors, everybody's a world champion. And I realized how important, how beautiful that was, that you could have that atmosphere to see Merv Rettenman and Terry Crowley and all those, and Bill Plummer, and
Yeah.
see guys you love because they played hard. They were there. They were
Right.
all part of the team. You wouldn't have been that team without them. But it was just euphoric to see the reaction of what our guys did and felt. And it's magical.
Very
Johnny,
special.
thank you so much for coming on with us. We
Best I
really
got on this
appreciate it.
occasion. Sorry.
All right. We appreciate it.
Great, buddy. Thank you so much, man.
Anytime, my man. Good to see
All
you.
right.
All
All
right.
right.
a
bye.
pleasure.
Before we leave, Johnny, you can leave, but Pressbox Live is brought to you by,
No, wait. Parting gifts, anything? I mean, we got another, how about a shingle or
I'll
something?
get a
For
free
the roof.
I'll get
Yeah.
a free roof inspection for you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you. See you guys.
All right.
Hey,
See ya.
John,
See ya. Boy, he is too much, Ross.
he's a blast. He is.
I thank you for setting that up. That
Oh
was
God,
incredible.
yeah.
You think he enjoyed himself?
Oh, God, well, you heard it. I mean,
Yeah.
I talked to him in May on a show, and I didn't know who it was.
You
You
told
know,
me
they-
that story.
oh,
Why don't you
yeah.
tell
I mean,
our,
it was,
tell our
uh,
viewers? Tell
It was
our
the
viewers
50th
what the-
anniversary of my first game in the major leagues, and these two guys, I agreed to do a show. They were going to talk about it, and they said, we have a guy that was sitting behind home plate that was there for your first game. And I'm going, oh, really? Yeah. So his name's John. I go, okay. So we start talking. They put him on. We started talking. I didn't know who it was. It was Finch. And after a while, I'm going, oh, God. And I didn't let on that I didn't know who it was.
Right.
I was just really, I'm going, just another band up there, whatever. But no, it was Johnny. And I'm going, oh, are you kidding me? I hadn't talked to him in, 45 years since,
Really, it had been that long?
well, probably, 78 was the last time I talked to him. And that was
40
when he was
years.
playing the Reds and we played against each other.
That's
And
great.
actually, he was 3 for 10 off me. He hit 300. He did hit a home run, but I did get him out 7 times. So that was,
It was interesting that he alluded to the fact he was proud of how well you turned yourself into
Oh.
a pitcher in the American League.
Stan,
That's great.
they treated me and all the rookies that came up, they treat us very well. They looked after us. They give us just enough rope to hang ourselves and then pull us back in. But like he said, Sparky would call them in and they would you want something done, they'd go, hey, this is what we got to do. This is
Yeah.
what you got to do. And what an experience. And it was just laid the groundwork for my career. And it was very special. And I'm indebted to all those guys. They were very, very special and treated us great.
Now, it's just ironic. You're living in the Bradenton, Sarasota area now. Is that
Right.
where the Reds, did they train there at that time or
No,
Tampa?
they trained in Tampa at a
Tampa,
place
Florida.
called Redsland.
Okay.
And never forget it. It was my first. Me and Miss Bird lived in half a trailer in Lutz, Florida, and that was that was very special. But yeah, it was being with the Reds. And people ask me, what are you most proud of? And like I asked Johnny, I wanted to know that. But
That was a great answer he gave, by the way.
Oh
Great
yeah,
answer.
Stan, I played with the Reds. I played with probably 12 Hall of Famers, not with the Reds, but Bench, Rose, Perez, Morgan, Sparky, Brooks, Palmer, Weaver, Reggie Jackson, Eddie Murray, Ripken, Dawson, Carter, Dick Williams. All those guys I played with. I mean, how special is that?
Yep. Yep.
I mean, here's a guy that, little town outside of Memphis, and I'm in the big leagues with these guys and playing against more Hall of Famers that, is very special.
I wonder how many players played for 3 Hall of Fame managers, Dick Williams,
really.
Sparky, and Earl.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Very special.
I thank you for setting that up. All right.
Absolutely, buddy. My
All right.
pleasure.
Hey, Pressbox Live has been brought to you by C3 American Exteriors. Go to their website at c3america.com to get a brand new roof for just the cost of your insurance deductible. And as I say every Monday and Wednesday night, you own a home. There'll be no more expensive bargain you have to come up with in fixing or replacing your roof. You got to know the people, you got to like the people, and you have to trust the people. And c3america.com checks all 3 of those boxes for me. They'll do a good job for you. C3 American Exteriors, the website, once again, c3america.com. Wednesday night is morphing into Thursday night because I want to go out Wednesday night and watch Shohei Ohtani pitch at Oriole Park. So I'm going to do that Wednesday night. But Thursday, we got another very special show with Pressbox's Bo Smolka and former editor for BaltimoreRavens.com, the website. Sarah Ellison will join us. She still follows the Ravens very closely, and you can follow her on Twitter. We'll tell you all about it on Thursday night at 8 o'clock. For Ross Grimsley, I'm Stan the Fan, and we'll see you down the road.